What's up everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Brian. I'm a photographer based in the Portland, Oregon area. I'm shooting on the Leica M and Leica Q systems primarily, mostly doing landscape, lifestyle, and street photography. Today we're going to be talking about the Leica M6, specifically the TTL model, which is what I have. Don't really use that function. It's a great camera, popular camera, right? So just kind of wanted to talk about it, share my thoughts on it. As far as film camera goes, I do kind of think it's a holy grail, but the body itself doesn't really do a whole lot than other film cameras, which I'll kind of get into. So this is my M6 right here. I'm shooting it with a 35 2.4 Sumerit and a spherical lens. But this is my M6. I have it reskinned in a custom dark brown skin. I found that on eBay of all places. So if you do a Google search for that, you can probably find it. I have a clean top script on this. It's painted on, it's not engraved. It is a TTL version, as I said, so it basically is just your flash metering through the lens, right? It has this shutter dial closer to the edge, so if you hold it one-handed, you can rest a finger there and change it with one hand, which is really nice, and that's why I opted for the TTL version. Mine has an 85 times viewfinder, so it's really nice and magnified, and that's also what I was aiming for as well. It's a clear and magnified, easy to focus with. So that was the main reason, was the viewfinder and then the bigger shutter speed dial. That's why I opted for a TTL, and then I did actually just find this locally. It had that top script on it, so that's why I picked this model up specifically. But in general, I was after a TTL probably for the shutter speed dial as well as the 85 viewfinder. I think they maybe made a couple different models, or just like the classic M6 and 85 at some point maybe, but I can't remember. But I was just after something with an 85 viewfinder, and I actually really like the shutter speed dial. I really like that dial. I actually use it all the time. It goes up to 1/1000th of a second max shutter speed. It has a flash sync speed, built-in light meter, right? And this being the TTL, I think you can meter through the lens. I haven't used flash. I will never use flash on film. I'm not a flash guy, but it can do it. It's just not much else it really offers, right? It's just you load your film into it, you shoot it, it gives you your shutter speeds. I bought a Leica M6 for M mount lenses because Leica glass is really nice, and Voigtlander and things are as well. I think that's the biggest takeaway and the biggest difference, and like the benefit of shooting a Leica M6 or any M film camera is gonna be the Leica glass, right? It's not really what the body gives you, it's what the lens gives you, especially on film. And I think that's why the M6 is so popular, is because you can put that glass on it. It is a great camera, and the build quality is insane, and every time you crank the advanced lever, it feels really good. The shutter is really nice and quiet, and it's just a really solid, beautiful camera, and nice and compact, right? So that's what I really like about it, is the build quality, the compactness, and it's pretty reliable. The only issue mine had was in the frame line lever, where you can change your frame lines in the viewfinder. It wasn't working. It was stuck at 35. I could crank the lever, but the frame lines wouldn't change. I guess it's an issue. It does happen. I did find a couple reports on it. I got mine fixed and cleaned up at a local shop, like easy, it's fine, people can service them. But I had a 35mm lens, so when I tested the camera out, I didn't touch the lever, and I didn't realize it, because you can shoot a 35mm lens without having to have the lever change what it does, because that's the default frame line on the camera. Not really any other issues I've experienced. It's just been really good, does what it needs to do, and it's fully serviceable still. There's people that'll service it, like it will now service their M bodies as well, so they're older ones. The only potential thing on the TTL model is if the meter does die, it is dead forever. There is no way to replace it. You cannot get the parts new to replace. You would have to buy a donor body if for whatever reason your TTL was super special to you or something. Otherwise, you have to just shoot it with an external meter or buy a new body, I guess, or sell yours right at a slight loss, I'm sure, because the meter died, and then pick up one with a working meter. So that's the only thing, is they just aren't serviceable if the meter were to die. I believe the M6 Classic, you might be able to put in a new meter. I'd read some stuff that MP meters could be used, but I'm kind of seeing mixed reports on that. So that's the only downside of the M6, is if the light meter dies, you may not be able to get that repaired. But otherwise, they're still fully serviceable by third-party techs and Leica, and that's big win for me, and it's a fully mechanical camera, so you're not really out of luck if an electronic part dies and the shutter no longer fires. I think usually they can be resurrected if things kind of wear out or if they jam up or whatever it might be. So I kind of went for the M6 because I like in-camera light meter. It's really quick to shoot with, having that available, and they're really reliable. That was really it. And then wanted to put M glass on to have the best image output I could on film. So that's what you hear. I definitely see a difference in my photos on my M6 with the Summit lens or my Summicron lens, which I mostly shoot on my M240, but I've used it on the M6 as well. I do see a clear difference between those lenses and then my old Nikon FM2 with a 50mm AIS, like pretty run-of-the-mill Nikon lens. And then I did have a Voigtlander, I think it was an Ultron SL2 40mm f2, and that lens did look really good, and it was like really sharp, but I think the contrast and color rendition and sharpness on the Leica is just a little bit better. So it's not like an end-all be-all, but I wanted the M6 for, again, the in-camera meter and with the intent to shoot Leica glass. And then the compact size and the build quality, in my opinion, is kind of a added benefit of the two main reasons as to why I got it. So I don't think there's much to say on it, right? It's a film camera. It's going to do what most others do, but the M series is a very nice, well-built, compact film body, right? It's really nice. And if you put M glass on it, I think you're going to reap the true benefit of those cameras. And the M6 is just, it's iconic. And again, the built-in meter, it's just nice and simple. I think that's why a lot of people gravitate towards it versus like an M4 or something. And then the M5, I think, might have a meter, but that was just kind of a weird camera that Leica did. I have nothing against it, but I do like the look of the M6 more. So I did also gravitate for, towards it for the aesthetic. Other than that, I was looking at the M4, but I just decided I wanted to go for a built-in meter. I don't think there's much else to say. It's a beautiful camera. They're reliable. They work great. And if you're thinking about picking one up, just find the best deal you can and be aware that if the meter does have an issue, it may not be salvageable. And if that's a big concern to you, check out the MP or the reissued M6 for a little bit more cash. But otherwise, M6 is a great choice if you're thinking about it. I'd say do it, but definitely look into your lens options and get the nicest lens you can that's proven to be a really good performer and is up there, because I think if you were to just shoot the M6 with a mediocre lens, you're not going to kind of reap the true benefit. But if you are coming from a 35mm SLR, I think the size and the rangefinder experience, it is a huge benefit, and it is really noticeable. So if you're after those things and you're not concerned with the best image quality and getting a nice lens, then I think the M6, it has its perks too. I think that'll do it. I love this thing. I shoot it next to my M240. That's pretty much how I run it, right? Shoot film and digital side by side, both on two Leica rangefinders. I just run 35mm lens on it, on that 2.4 Summit. Couldn't be happier. The images that I shared, I don't really remember what films each is from, so just take those with a grain of salt, but I mostly shoot Cinestill 400D, Reflex Labs 400, Cinestill and Reflex 800T, and a little bit of Gold 200 and Portra 400. Those are mostly what I use, and I do edit my scans, I will say that. So if the colors look nice, I basically take one of my digital presets, water it down to about 50%, and stick it on my film scans to kind of keep all my stuff cohesive and still retain some of the film characteristics. That's my process there, and I have my presets available in the link in my description, so if you want to check those out, they're there for you. If you have any questions about the M6 or which model you're looking at or how the magnifications come into play, let me know. It's a great camera. If you're looking at one, I would say it's just, there's no substitute. There really is no substitute for shooting film on an M series. So if you're looking at that, go for it. Hopefully this stuff was helpful. Hit me with any questions you got, and I'll catch you guys next time.